I know I know what I'm speaking about.
I can tell you.
I don't mind regulation as long as it doesn't single out our fund. As long as it applies to everyone equally.
It's okay to regulate, but don't regulate offshore funds.
No. It's all right to regulate offshore funds as long as they are not singled out. And particularly we are not singled out.
For reprimand or for punitive.
Right,
okay.
Right.
You would like to see some regulation of derivatives.
Yes. I think that clearly the instability in the yen showed that options can be very disruptive. They were very disruptive in the '87 crash. That portfolio insurance was the use of a derivative. And it was recognized, and then so-called circuit breakers were introduced. So I think that there is a need to recognize that derivatives can be destabilizing because they bring about trend-following behavior, automatic trend-following behavior by the people who have sold the options. Mm-hmm. And when the market goes against them, they have to engage what is called dynamic hedging.
Yeah. Do you worry when you look at the Barron's Bank situation and the situation in Japan that there are throughout the world that there are these rogue traders who can cover their mistakes without being detected for a period of time?
I don't think it's anything new. I think they've been around since the 18th century or even in antiquity.
So is new the volume? Is that what's new? The stakes, the money?
Even maybe the size of the defaults are, because the size of the institutions is different. I think we have always had those little mishaps, and we'll continue to have them. And we have a lot of regulations and internal controls, and it's only when they break down that you have these incidents.
You are, what, 60-something, right?
65.
65. What do you want to do with the rest of your life? What is it that you hope you can accomplish? Whether you live 30 years or 5.
Yeah, since I'm a believer in an open society, I think this is an open-ended question. You see,
you may change tomorrow.
No, what I mean is that I really don't know. I mean, I have a sense of direction, how far I can go. Maybe this is it. Maybe I've just peaked right this minute.
Yeah, well, but I mean, but what's the opposite side of it? I mean, what is the open-ended is in terms of what you think? You don't know the answer in terms of how whatever influences you can bring to bear.
Yes, well, I really, you see, having engaged in a lot of action in the last 5 years, I'm now really entering a period of reflection. And I was focusing, let's say, on Eastern Europe. I now realize that there's something fundamentally flawed or missing in our open societies. There's
like what?
Well, there is a crisis of values and a lack of cohesion, a lack of a common purpose. And people are groping for it in different ways. And I see the need for it, but I don't know the answer. You see, I don't know. For instance, I see this tremendous need for a stable security system. Mm-hmm. I really think that we will have an awful lot of wars and
how about moral values? How about the notion of a sense of purpose?
Yes, that is very much part of
questions of liberty and freedom.
Yes, I mean the question is, you see, you live in an open society. It means that we live in a global society, multicultural. What is it that we really believe in? We have our values, the Japanese have theirs. Singapore tells us that Asian values are different from American values. There has to be something, you see, that unites us, something that we stand for. And I have this rather difficult notion that what unites us is that there is the recognition that our understanding of the world in which we live is imperfect, and we have to have respect for each other's opinions. That there is a reality, but there is a pluralism of values, and that pluralism is a good thing. Now, therefore, pluralism has to be the common value.
Right.
Now, how to get there? You see, we have it enshrined in our Constitution, freedom and so on, but it doesn't apply on a global scale. It only applies to our country, and it's said these things we hold self-evident. Well, it isn't self-evident. We somehow have to come to this conclusion. You see that freedom is worth preserving, and that it needs to be preserved. That it won't survive without our willingness to fight for it, to make some sacrifices for it. So there has to be, let's say, a common ground for which we are willing to stand.
To stand for. Soros on Soros, Staying Ahead of the Curve, is a conversation between George Soros and Byron Wien of Morgan Stanley. I thank you, in which it talks about philosophy and business and politics. Thank you for joining us for this time. It's been a pleasure to have you here again.
Sure.
We thank you for joining us. Look forward to seeing you next time. See you then.
Major funding for Charlie Rose was provided by the people at DuPont, originators of products and ideas that make a difference in everyday life. DuPont. Better things for better living. And by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the annual financial support of viewers like you. Charlie Rose was also made possible by these funders. To order Charlie Rose program transcripts for $5 each and video cassettes for $29.95 each, call 1-800-825-5746 or write to Journal Graphics at the address on your screen. Please indicate show date and guest.
This is PBS.